council meeting of December 15th, 2020 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge, and I'll do it tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, let's see. All right. Let's see. Donna, will you do a roll call for us, please?
I will. Councilmember Bode.
Here.
Councilmember Feast.
Here.
Councilmember Inesco.
You're muted.
Here.
There you are. Hi.
Hi.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember McDowell.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Here.
And Mayor Dorsey.
Here. All right. Does the council have any late changes to the agenda? All right. At this time, I would like to remind the members of the public that they can make comments during the public comment period, as well on any items listed on the business agenda or the action agenda. Option number 1, join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link that is displayed on the city's webpage. The link is listed on the agendas and minutes page under the tab that says more. Option 2, email city manager Jeff Knighton. Or option 3, call Jeff's office phone. Both the email address and phone number are displayed on the screen of the Mason Web TV's streaming video. All right. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda as read.
All right.
Second.
Eric has a second. There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion passes. Donna, do we have anyone interested in making a public comment tonight?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Tonight we have 3 presentations. The first one is a stormwater update presented by Public Works Director Jay Harris and Administrative Manager Brooke Kill.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilors, Deputy Mayor, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. I am live from the Angleside Booster Station tonight, which is at the maintenance yard, and the pressure station is behind me here. So if you hear some pump noise, just sort of ignore it, okay? And if you're having a problem hearing me speak, say something, okay? But it's not that loud, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So it turns on about every hour or so to pressurize the upper hill here, the Angleside zone. So it's pretty cool. So I have tonight your stormwater rate introductory discussion. I think you call it introductory discussion number 2. From what I understand, you guys were already speaking with FCS group prior to me arriving in April. So because of COVID, we have put this on hold until now. So I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Great.
Lovely.
So yeah, that was some flooding that happened some years ago. I found a picture, looks like it was downtown. Anyways, we do get water here in Washington, so it's not new. So Brooke Kills is here with me tonight, and she is going to go over our existing rate structure. And then I will talk in a few minutes about some of the rate structures that we can propose or think about implementing. So Brooke, you're up.
All right, good evening, council members. So currently we have identified some inequities with our current rate structure. As you can see in these tiers here, this is what we currently have and what we charge for impervious surface areas based on square footage. And it caps out at 55,000 square feet of impervious surface area. Single family resident units and duplexes are at $12.10 per month, regardless of their impervious surface area. And then the Schedule 2 for commercial, hotel, motel, triplex, multifamily, mobile home, et cetera, is based on the impervious surface square foot area. Okay, so here is example 1 of the inequities with our current rate structure. We've got 2 different parcels here, A and B. Parcel B has only 1 more impervious square foot than parcel A, but pays about $35.45 more per month than parcel A. So to give you an idea of some areas around town that have the square footage. So on Olympic Highway North, Susan's Grill is about 6,000 square feet of impervious surface area. The post office is 30,000 square feet roughly. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at for the square footage of impervious surface areas. So example 2, we've got inequities within the tier. So parcel A is at 35,000 square feet and 1 and pays $141.85. And parcel B has about 20,000 more square feet of impervious surface area and pays the same amount. And example 3, we have large impervious parcels. So parcels A, B, and C, A being 55,000 and 1, B being 150,000, and C being 500,000, all pay the same rate. So for this example, parcel A, you're looking about the size of Maple Glen, plus about 3,000 square feet more. For an example of parcel B, you're looking at Neelan Plaza, but only that section, that's the area up by the dollar store, but it's only that section in between Goodwill and the Dollar Tree is roughly about 150,000 square feet of impervious surface area. And Walmart is an example of parcel C. So that they actually are a little bit more at 623,500. But between those differences of the size of area, they all pay the same rate. All right, with this graph that shows just the differences of a current rate structure, where there's shown on example 1, there's a jump at the tier edges that we were showing before. Example 2, there's no change within the tiers. And example 3, the charges for the highest tier capped. They all pay that same rate for that same amount of impervious surface area. And those are the inequities with our current rate structure.
Okay, so there's some options here. So we can keep the current rate structure the way it is. There's a lot of inequities in the structure, and there isn't any jurisdictions that we're aware of that is using this rate structure anymore. There's another, I'm going to give you 3 examples. The first one would be an impervious surface area, an ESU rate structure. And that's pretty equitable. It was similar type of systems of ours where you have water quality storage, treatment, collection systems, and that sort of thing. And it proportionally charges customers based on the impervious surface area. And then they share in the system's cost. And it's a real equitable and defensible means of cost recovery. And also allows for rate credits to be given to customers who are able to reduce their impacts to the stormwater system. So for some large sites and that sort of thing, they might do some additional stormwater treatment or have their own NPDES permit with the state. Those type of properties would get rate credits to their impervious surface areas. Another method would be development density. This was a real common method 10 to 15 years ago. Most people are moving away from it because there's quite a few inequities. And so it's an alternative measurement of runoff contribution. So you apply density factors to the parcel and you adjust charges depending on the coverage of the parcel by the hard surface percentage. So a lot of sites like City Hall is probably 80% covered with impervious surface, something like that. Whereas you look at this maintenance yard facility that I'm at, it's probably, because of all the gravel and wooded area up there, it might be at like 70% coverage, that sort of thing. So it also has a lot of inequities to our existing rate structure. So land use. So it doesn't use any impervious area. It's just based on the land use designations, such as industrial, commercial, residential, multifamily. And it's actually a pretty simple one to implement, but it's only used when you can't calculate the impervious area. So luckily we have a good LiDAR data and aerial photograph data, and we can actually go to sites where we can actually measure the impervious areas. Because when you start using just land use codes, it's very similar to our existing rate structure. There'll be a lot of inequities in that type of rate structure. So the last one is trip generation. And so that's based on the number of traffic trips generated by the type of use. The billings are a little complex as you have to track the trip generation codes for mostly commercial and industrial. As these places release and change over, you got to figure out what their new trip generation code is all the time. So it could be a useful methodology, but there are significant inequities with this one. And so a couple that I have there is if you have a really high square footage building with a low trip generation, such as a warehouse, a lot of square footage, storing a lot of things, large impervious area, a lot of stormwater coming off the roof, but they don't have many people going to the warehouse or workers, right? And then you can have a high square footage building like Fred Meyer's with a really high trip generation. So the trip generation one is a little bit of an issue, trying to get it figured out on the type of use in the building and the trip generation for the use. So what we wanted to focus on is the equivalent surface unit ESU rate structure. We feel that that is probably the most equitable. It's based on what your impervious surface is on your site. That's the amount of storm runoff that you're generating. This is based on a single family home parcel. And so we did some calculations here in Shelton and came up with the average single family lot is about 2,900 square feet. So you take that, and that is one unit that is the base charge. And then you take that and would divide that into like the commercial area square footage, which was 14,400. You divide that by 2,900. That's how you get the 4.97 ESU. So you always calculate everything back to the equivalent service unit. And then like the duplex parcel would be 2 ESU. So the good thing about this is we've overlaid the ESU structure onto our existing rate structure. And you can see that it increases on a linear basis as your square footage increases. And there's not all these different inequities and rate tiers and that sort of thing compared to our existing structure. So a bunch of cities in Washington are currently using the ESU methodology, Tumwater, Olympia, Centralia, that sort of thing. They found is pretty equitable. Now, what they charge obviously would be different. Every community would be different. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So that's next steps. So revenue requirement. So in an upcoming council presentation, our next one is on the 19th of January, 2021. We're going to talk about how much revenue is needed to cover the financial obligations of the utility, taking into consideration of our new NPDS phase 2 permit. So we're doing this because the state has said you need to have these higher standards. To implement those standards, we need more people, more monitoring, that sort of thing. The rate structure, how can it equitably recover revenue requirement from all ratepayers? The customer billing data update and reconciliation process. We're currently measuring impervious surfaces for all non-single family parcels. So we have that underway with our consultant. And then we're going to be talking more in our next meeting about partial rate credits or discounts. So the discounts would be the existing discounts that we have now, such as senior citizen or disabled discounts. And then another thing we wanted to talk to council about is general facilities charges. So currently we have general facilities charges for the wastewater and water systems. And the stormwater system does not have a GFC rate currently. That would be for capacity projects, flooding downtown, those sorts of things, to bring in some additional revenue for some larger regional projects that we need to do. We've got to figure out a way other than rates probably to get these regional projects done. And it recovers, the GFCs recover costs from growth charges, and it allows for water quality and quantity, pipe projects, that sort of thing. And then projects that are already developed wouldn't pay GFCs until they redevelop. So that's sort of a glimpse of what we're going to talk about on the 19th. And that's the end of our presentation. Do you folks have any questions? And Brooke's going to answer them all.
I do. Just a minute. In my face.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I have some questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, you talked about the post office compared to Suzanne's Grill. What is the difference there?
Susan's Grill was about 6,010 square feet, and the post office about 30,610 square feet. Yeah.
Okay. So can you explain so the public can understand what impervious surface is?
Yes. So that is areas such as concrete, asphalt, anywhere where the rainwater is not going to be basically absorbed into the ground and into, it's going to go off into our streets and into our stormwater system that has to be treated.
Okay. And then one more question.
Of course.
How long has these inequalities been in effect?
Since this rate structure was adopted. That is a good question on when it was adopted. It's been in place since then, though. I can look at the date and get back to you.
I would like to know when that was adopted. That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Any other questions?
Brooke,
I do
What's that?
too, Mr. Mayor.
are you up, Megan?
Well, you said you had a question first, so I'll. You.
Oh, I did? Oh, okay. Well,
I thought you were saying.
yeah, I don't care. You can go first if you want.
I noticed that you had noted in your bullets that you're doing some analysis and comparison around the rate structure. So currently we have a tiered rate structure. So I'm really curious to understand. You showed us the difference between like the 1 square foot and how it made the rate go up. When we go here and go, to a possible complete linear situation without the steps, those folks down here are probably smaller business owners. It'd be really good for us to understand the analysis there, see if any of those small business owners might be affected,
They actually, we did find, we were gathering samples before COVID hit. We were provided a few samples of what bills would look like. And there are some people that were up on that higher tier structure, but just because it bumped them into that higher one, But when you actually calculated the impervious surface area for that business, it was less than, and they actually had a lower bill based on the impervious surface. So it does work in both directions, and it benefits some of the smaller businesses that are on those tier edges, and that's where those inequities are.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a matter though of how we communicate with our whole business community around how we're creating an equitable balance among everyone. Because
Right, yes.
within the middle there, in each one of those tiers, some folks are going to be, having a little bit bigger bill,
Right.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we understand the analysis there and the percentage of businesses who are going to be affected with a higher rate, so that we can have a whole community conversation around this is the greater good for all businesses and our community development. And we also want to understand that, does this come into the conversation around development? And so, for example, we've got a couple of new developments that are happening up in Mountain View. Was this part of the negotiation, and part of our contract obligations together? And also when we're taking a look at, I've got questions around like the partial rate credits, are we not only considering like, the disabled folks and whatnot, but what about our nonprofits as well? So there's a whole lot of questions that I have around all those things.
And I figured this was going to introduce a lot of questions, and this was this meeting was basically an introduction as to what our thoughts are, where we're going. That way you guys can have a chance to gather all those questions, and when FCS group is here on the 19th, that way you're prepared and ready with all those, rather than having to come back at the second meeting and hit them all with them and ask them. So they are prepared with this, and so they would love to have your questions, and those are absolutely great ones. I don't want to provide you with too much information since they're going to go over it, but those are definitely things that they are hitting on at the next meeting.
I do have a recommendation, is to go look at some of the cities I've listed there. Go to the municipal code and pull up the stormwater section and look at that utility. And you can see how people worded their ordinance, right? And how they put some of those together. And we'll be giving you some samples down the road of some of those. But if you want to go do a little bit of homework, go look at some of those cities and go check out some of the things they have written and some of their rate tiers or rate charges, right?
Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to mention, council member, is that once council has all the information and seen the presentation from FCS, we are absolutely going to take this to the community and have a conversation, not only with the business community, which of course we will do, but also with the wider community overall, to make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish with these new with this policy direction.
How can we use it as an incentive too, as we're doing development around Impervious?
Well, and that's one of the rate credits that we were talking about, and FCS will get more into, is there is going to be an incentive for reducing your impact to the stormwater system and what that applies. Currently, we do have something in our municipal code for a few of the activities that can be performed to reduce and get a rate credit, but there's other options out there, and that's what FCS is going to introduce as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mayor, did you still have one?
No, I'm going to pull mine because Megan actually hit on part of it, and I want to bring it up with Jeff a little bit later on.
I have.
If I can, maybe summarize a little bit. So the reason what is sparking the conversation today, first of all, I appreciate addressing inequities. That's always great to be able to do that and solve those problems. However, the reason, though, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the NPDES Phase 2 permit became a thing once we expanded past 10,000 population in Shelton. And And then ultimately what we need to do here is determine, or what we're looking at doing is, just as Brooke, you had mentioned, limiting the impact to stormwater, right? So the more pervious surfaces that we have, the better chances that we can ecologically, biologically control stormwater runoff and treat that without needing to invest significant dollars into stormwater facilities per se, right? So this essentially is going to help motivate development to be less impactful, that ultimately would be like a cost savings to the city in the long run, to
Absolutely.
prevent the city from having to have complex, stormwater retention facilities that are also become undevelopable lands, and that we can't utilize for anything other than treating stormwater, right? So, I mean, am I in the right ballpark with where we're going with this and why we're going the direction we're going?
Absolutely. You've nailed it.
Okay. So I think, and this does coincide, in my opinion, then with the development code rewrites and those sorts of things when we're discussing those incentives. I like that discussion. I am looking forward to that discussion, but and the rate setting structure, I'll be interested in more chat with FCS group, but thanks for the brief and the preparation for us.
So I have a question. So we're encouraging future businesses and any type of future building to go with pervious surface. In turn, that will cut down on the use of our stormwater facility. Is that right?
So that's one of the policy goals, but council, we're not asking council tonight to approve that direction.
Right.
Just making presentations on the various options that the council has.
Okay.
But if council does choose to go in the equivalent service unit direction, that would definitely be an outcome of that policy direction.
Okay.
All right. Move on to our second presentation. Administrative Services Director Michelle Sutherland is going to share the city's business plan.
Good evening, Council. So the City of Shelton business plan is really driven by the strategic goals that you as a council have determined. It drives how we work as a team at the city, what our department work plans and goals are. So this is the first business plan, I believe, that's been done by the City of Shelton. I have not found any previously. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see, we'll go here. Okay. So we've got the first 6-year business plan. We decided not to use the Civic Center as the first page because that is the first page of most everything that we have. So we are moving into the table of contents here. We do have a basic introduction, a brief overview of the City of Shelton. Again, we're a full service organization operating under the council manager form of government. And it just gives a brief overview of the city and the departments that we have within the city. You will note that public safety is not a part of this business plan, and that's specifically because we have, of course, Chief Beeson starting January 11th, and we thought we would give her the opportunity to develop her goals for the department and have a part in this business plan. So we'll be adding that within the first quarter. I know she's asked to start working on it now, but we're going to wait until January. So this plan covers our various departments. It starts just with a view of our city foundation, vision and mission statements, core beliefs, and team philosophy, followed by council goals and objectives, and how that leads into the department-specific plans. Mission statements, goals and strategies, action plans for departments, and then performance measures. And it's really important to have the plan as a city as a whole, and then break it down for each department. So we have a plan to follow as well throughout the years. So here are your city council strategic goals and summary of objectives. I know we're all very familiar with this. This is something that I have posted in my home office. I have posted in my office at work because it really drives the way that we work, your goals here. Again, we go into the city's vision, mission, and values. So someone from outside can take a look at this and know what Shelton is all about. And we aspire to provide world-class services to our community while cultivating citizen engagement, accountability, and outstanding organizational culture for the employees, and bringing all of that to the residents of the city as well. We place a high value on community engagement and definitely strive to include them whenever we can and provide them with exceptional service. We do have some strategic advantages and challenges. We are a supportive and engaged community. We have a culture of excellence and continuous improvement driven by the city's vision, mission, and values. We have engaged and committed employees with a strong focus on customer service, collaborative local partners, municipal ownership of some essential utilities, water, wastewater, and stormwater. We do have a projected population growth in the future, and a strategic plan aligned with the budget and other citywide plans. And we definitely try to embrace and cultivate a culture of diversity and inclusivity throughout the city itself. Definite challenges, I know that we're all aware of: housing that's affordable for all income levels, securing sustainable revenue sources to maintain city services and infrastructure. Another challenge is balancing competing community desires and changing customer expectations, an aging infrastructure and growth-related needs, and looking out, not just next year, 6 years from now, but looking out 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. What do we need as a city looking into the future? With population growth increased, demand must be accommodated with an increased workforce or efficient technology, and structural deficit. So we have some economic and social factors. The city of Shelton's common factors include strong partnerships and a commitment to a high quality of life, among various economic, environmental, and social factors. The guidance and assumptions, trust and open communication. And that's something I believe City Manager Knighton and the rest of the team really strive for. Trust and open communication with each other, with the community, with the council, and that we earn and maintain the trust of all Shelton citizens and stakeholders through transparent communication, citizen engagement, and honoring commitments made to the community. That we're a full service city. So we've got several things here. We'd like to preserve history, innovation and continual improvement, manage growth at an appropriate scale for Shelton, internal and external collaboration, fiscal responsibility, a supportive work culture, economic development, which is definitely high on the list, natural resources, protecting and enhancing what we currently have, and a consistent brand and identity. Now on page 9, we move into the 6-year budget forecast and revenue assumptions, completed by the finance team, Mr. B. Miller. So we do show on the top here is our revenue. The bottom half of the page shows our projected expenses, the forecast. So as you look to see on the bottom, there is a little bit of unbalance. So I know that's why we're looking at different rate structures and different things of that sort. The forecast currently assumes that no new positions and no new programs are added to the city. So this is the forecast as things are now projected out through 2026. The revenue assumptions, the finance team put this together and it shows their projections here. As the category of sales, they expect a 2% increase in 2022 and 2023. So the assumptions for revenue and expenses clearly lay out the percentages that they are working off of. And we move on to departmental goals and objectives. Very important for each of our departments to have, starting with the executive department, which coordinates and communicates the work of all city departments of the city to achieve the council's strategic priorities. We've done a overview for each department. So again, we've got the executive and then description of the programs along with a 6-year goal summary, followed by community development. We've got quite a few goals and various different mission statements for various areas of community development, followed by administrative services, description, and 6-year goal summary. And I think it's important to provide an ethical and responsive working environment for all employees. Again, we've got Public Works. Public Works Director Harris and his team worked on this, the mission statement and the department overview. And it's quite comprehensive here. He's broken it down into streets and wastewater, water and stormwater, EM&R, and their 6-year goal summary. Followed by finance and the finance team, a description of their programs along with their goal summary. And courts. And again, we will supplement this with the police department description, department overview, and goals for the next six years once Chief Beeson completes that. We move into attachments, the policy and procedure, team philosophy, which is critical that all of us work as a team and follow the strategic plan and goals of the council. And again, you'll see the last attachment are the work plans for each department. We do this on a yearly basis. For the business plan, we developed a 6-year goal summary with a timeline for completion, a performance measure, and any budget impact that might exist. So if you take the time to peruse this, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. And that is the overview of the City of Shelton's first business plan at this point. And we hope to continue to refine and make it better as we go along. Did anyone have any questions?
Well done. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you to Jay and Brooke, if they're still with us. I guess not. And last but not certainly least, we have a presentation from City Manager Jeff Knighton. He's going to share the city's 2021 work plan with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, members of the public. Along with the strategic business plan that our Administrative Services Director just presented to you, I think it's very important that we look forward and we try to be proactive in the things that we are doing and not do them impulsively. We need to have strategic, measured goals so that we can accomplish the goals of council and do all the things that the business plan mentioned for the current and future citizens and people that call Shelton home. Very important part of our work here and provides us some direction. With that, I wanted to present to you the 2021 work program, which will match up for the most part with the first year actions of the business plan that you just saw. It's the work program items occasionally cross departments, such as the Tyler Encode system. That's going to affect all departments throughout the city. But we are doing these work programs not only to implement council goals, but to strengthen the capabilities of our team here at Shelton and to set a sustainable course for our future. So with that, I'm not going to go through each item that are on the diagrams that are included in your council packet, but I did want to highlight a couple of items for council consideration. We want to plan strategically, which we have done. This is part of our financial services work program, and that create performance measures citywide to measure performance, so we can report that to the community. And another piece of the financial services work program is to create and fully implement a citywide ER&R program. I know that's something council has been interested in for a while, and something we're interested in as well, and that's something we want to get done for you next year. For Public Works, just a couple items to highlight. Want to make sure, as we mentioned during the stormwater presentation, that we do our appropriate public outreach and make sure we get every stakeholder's opinion and input on what direction we're headed in. So we want to develop outreach programs to increase the public understanding of the street, wastewater, water, and storm projects, and how that affects their utility bills. What it means for them, I think, is what we're really driving out there. A couple other items. Administrative services is the point department on a lot of our conversion for our IT infrastructure, all the upgrades that we're doing. And that's a focus for them, both the right systems, network infrastructure, and the Tyler cloud updates. And those things are hugely important across the entire city organization. And for community development, we have the development code revisions that was touched on briefly a little bit earlier that we'll be working on this year. We're developing a public involvement plan for that to make sure we get all stakeholder input as we're doing it, and developing workforce housing so we can address some of those challenges that were identified in our strategic plan. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have or have any input on what our work program is for next year.
Just to echo Joe's statements, bravo. This is a lot of work put in, obviously, and it's very evident that the conversations that we have as council have been having with you for the past couple of years and all of the work from those who came before us have been incorporated in this plan. So I appreciate the measurements put in place, the actions, the timelines, and I just really want to commend all of the staff for putting this together. Job well done.
And I should point out that our administrative services director, Ms. Sutherland, was the project manager for both of these. Worked extremely hard while doing all the IT stuff. And it's appreciated by me for sure, and I think it was very well done, and I hope that you appreciate it and feel the same.
All right, we'll move along. First item on the business agenda is a resolution to amend petty cash monies. Accounting Manager Terry Snitzer will give us more information.
Can you hear me?
There she is.
We can hear you, Terry, but we can't see you.
Okay, well, I'm trying to, but it doesn't, the host needs to let me in, it says.
Oh,
You're already in.
you're already in. You just got to turn on your camera, bottom left corner.
I did. Bottom left corner. Doesn't look like it's going. But anyway, I'll just go without it. But I can see you all, but it's nice to see you all. I haven't seen quite a few of you for a while, so it's good to see you. So I'm bringing forward to you a resolution to amend our current petty cash. It's currently set at $3,500 for business within the city for customer service, municipal court. But the police department no longer requires a petty cash fund. So we are reducing that by the $2,100 that they had. All of their transactions that they have in the police department are the customers are sent up to customer service to do all their transactions. So this petty cash resolution is asking to set the limits at $1,400. So I'm just asking if you could place this on January 5th meeting for action. Any questions?
Donna, we have public comment on this?
No, we don't, Mr.
No,
Mayor.
we don't. All right, so the staff is recommending that we concur to move this item on the action agenda. Everybody good for that on January 5th?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Next item on the business agenda is a resolution for the purchase of Kubota membranes. Public Works Director Jay Harris will share the details with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jay Harris again. We are talking wastewater now, and the satellite wastewater treatment plant uses membrane filter technology there. The existing filters are 10 plus years old. We replaced in 2019 one tank of filters. We still have 2 tanks of filters left. We're starting to get some ripping on the filters, clogging issues. They're nearing end of life. And so we need the filter replacement for capacity and for permit reliability. The new filters from Kubota are actually a couple generations newer. We hope to get longer service life out of these newer generation filters. And we're thinking they're going to exceed the 10-year life. Also, as a side point, we're looking at in the sewer comprehensive plan, which you'll be seeing probably in March, of putting more sewer at the satellite plant, moving sewer over to it with like a bypass lift station. So with that, we'll be doing some capacity improvements down the road there. And it's likely in the next 10 or 15 years when the filters come up for replacement again, ceramic filters are starting to take hold. They're a lot better on the maintenance end, and they actually have a little bit more capacity. So this filter technology is continually changing. It's pretty interesting. So the proposal here tonight is to replace 2 of the tank filters. We got a quote from Kubota for $384,281.60 to do that. If we order by the end of January 2021, if we wait, the price went up by like $25,000. So we want to get going on this project right away, try to save a little bit of money. And that's why, it's a project in the 2021 budget year, but to save this money, we want to move it forward quickly to you folks. Do you have any questions?
Do you have one, Eric?
These are the ceramic filters.
No, they
The
are
latest and
not.
they're not the latest and greatest, because we talked about this a year or two ago about replacing these filters, but we would wait for the ceramic filters because you're going to need them anyway, correct?
Well, we won't need them anyways. The filters will still treat the water just fine. The ceramic filters, they think in the future they're going to be a good thing. The problem is nobody's mass manufacturing them yet. Gray and Osborne, we spoke to them about it. It's not a proven technology, and we need to be hesitant. I don't mind being on the cutting edge, but I don't want to be on the bleeding edge. And I really don't think it's ready. The advice of Gray and Osborne, just stay away from these newer technologies. Wait till they're a little more proven and do them at that time. There is a little more capacity with those ceramic filters, but they're just not ready for prime time yet.
Okay, I was just remembering a conversation about ceramic filters and how we needed to go to them. So, but that's why we didn't purchase filters to replace all the filters last year or 2 years ago. So, okay, that answers my question, I guess.
All right. We have any public comment, Donna?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any more questions from the council?
Can I have one more? Is this
Oh, go ahead.
replacing all the filters that need to be replaced for the next 15
Tanks 2 and
years?
3.
Or-
Yes, that is correct. That we have one tank done. This will complete the other 2 tanks. So all 3 tanks will be new, and we should get 10+ years service life out of them. And we won't be talking about this again for a while.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, staff recommends we concur to move this forward. Everybody good with that? All right. Let's move on to the action agenda. Finance specialist Don Queasme has information about an ordinance to amend the 2020 budget.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Don Quisby from the Finance Department. Good evening, Mayor Dorsey and Deputy Mayor Peterson and council members. This is on the 2020 supplemental budget that we talked about on the first. There hasn't been any changes. In summary, what we're changing is 2 funds were increasing the spending authority. The tourism fund by $22,050 and the sewer fund by $240,000. And then we're adding 1 FTE in the general fund.
Okay,
Any questions?
all right. Any questions from council? Is anybody signed up for public comment, Donna?
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
All right, can you give us a second reading of the ordinance number 1950-0320?
Yes. Ordinance number 1950-0320, an ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, amending the annual budget for the year ending December 31st, 2020.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve ordinance number 1950-0320, amending the city's 2020 budget for particular funds as provided.
Second.
Eric had the second. Thank you, Eric. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1950-0320, amending the city's 2020 budget for particular funds as provided. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just a quick
Yes, you
comment for Mr. Quizme. Hey, I just wanted to say congrats on graduating from the RDI course.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know if anybody knew.
Oh, we know, future leader in the organization. So yes, no. Congrats, Don. Thank you for participating.
It was a good experience. It was a delayed graduation with COVID, of course, like a lot of things have been.
Congrats to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to city manager report. Jeff?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council. A couple of things I wanted to go over. One of those was to congratulate Don for graduating from that course. It was a big accomplishment. We had offered that opportunity to folks in the organization, and Don took us up on it, and I think it's a fantastic thing. It's good for him. A couple other things. We are working on our annual report. It's another communications tool that we want to use to communicate with our citizens, to kind of tell them how we've done, what we have accomplished in 2020, through all the challenges that everybody has faced. But I wanted to let people know what we were working on, what we've done. So we expect to have that probably the last week of January. But we'll have that done, and it's going to be a digital version. We don't, we can print off copies on demand, but we don't want to print off a whole bunch of copies to provide if nobody's interested and everybody can read it online. The other thing, a couple other things I wanted to mention. We do have the code update schedule for the housekeeping items that I shared with several of you. This is not the development code. As I mentioned earlier, we are working on a public involvement plan to accomplish the development code updates. But these housekeeping items include everything from changing the names of various positions in city and city government that we no longer have. Minor housekeeping items, but some of those things will be coming to you in February, and some will be coming to you in July. But just wanted to make sure that you knew that those things were on their way. Let's see here. I did receive a call from Congressman Kilmer's office today from the congressman himself, asking us how we were doing and what if anything, he would be able to help us with. The one thing I mentioned is that our essential employees should be high on the vaccination list, and that includes not only our police officers but also our water and wastewater team members. So it's very important for us to be able to provide those services that citizens of Shelton rely on. I asked him to help us make that case. Very appreciative of Congressman Kilmer giving us a call and asking what he could do to help. That was terrific, and I very much appreciate that, as I'm sure all of us do. Let's see. We do want to respond and make it easy for people to participate in local government. So for that reason, we did extend the virtual meetings through the end of December. I believe we did that back in September, if I remember correctly. It's difficult to remember when we did it, but we want to give people surety in how they can participate in local government decisions. And for that reason, we are going to extend our virtual meeting calendar through the end of March, at least through the end of March, and it may be extended further. But as I mentioned, we want to make sure people know where to go to participate in their local government. And at the moment, it's at your house on Zoom. Let's see here. Last but not least, certainly not least, this is one of my favorite meetings of the year. Because during the early part of December, the leadership team gathers together and we talk about who are our departmental employees of the year and nominate them, and then we select from that group for the City of Shelton Employee of the Year. And the Employee of the Year for this year is one of our field supervisors in Public Works, Todd Rhodes. Todd does an outstanding job. And the thing that stuck out to me is that he takes ownership of what goes on in the city of Shelton, and he cares. One of the things that Mike Albaugh pointed out to me was that it doesn't matter, what his title is or, what his duties are for the day. If he sees something that needs to get done, he's going to get it done and not expect kudos or anything else. And it's high time that he received the kudos that he has earned. And we're very proud of him, and I'm very proud to work with him. So Todd, congratulations. And as I mentioned last year, usually the winner gets to go to dinner with me and a couple of other folks at the Chamber of Commerce Gala. Don't know whether that's actually a reward or not, but that's what we had. Might not be able to get that done this year, but we do have several other things. We want to recognize all the employees of the city of Shelton for everything they do every day, and I'm very glad to work with all of them. And with that, that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Congrats to Todd Rhodes.
Jeff, what was Todd's last name?
Rhodes.
Rhodes. Yeah.
Rhodes.
All right. Anybody else got anything for Jeff tonight? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, well, excuse me.
You do have to, if you would, mention the results of the
Oh,
council's
the evaluation.
annual evaluation.
You bet. Be happy to. So just for everybody to know that might be listening, we had an evaluation for our manager today and Mr. Jeff Knighton, and we've decided to unanimously to give him a 5% bonus. So, yay for Jeff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else want to add to that? All right. Congratulations, Jeff.
Yep, congratulations.
Yeah.
This
Thank you very much.
meeting is now adjourned at 7:02.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just gonna tell Jeff he can put his suitcase away.
Ah, yeah, all
Oh.
right. All right, thank you, everybody.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Thank
if I don't-
you.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Happy